Ready?
So ready.
Hi, friends. Welcome back to episode 77 of the Guardian Project podcast. I'm your host, Andy. And Coyle, do you know what they call a sorcerer who is also a waiter?
No, I don't.
Magus of the Order.
Nice. I love that. That's great. And I'm your other host, Mike Coyle. And so I was playing a burn deck the other day. I was playing my burn deck the other day, and my opponent played a 1 mana green instant and bested me. Well, life goes on.
Please listen carefully.
And this is the podcast where we talk about all things Magic the Gathering.
But mostly Commander.
And so this past week was Command Fest 3 online. It was a lot of fun. I got a bunch of games in. I also got to play with some Commander Legends cards for the first time this past weekend.
What'd you play?
So I didn't play a Commander Legends deck,
okay.
But I've been working on adding Commander Legends cards to all my decks. I think I spent 3 hours the first night after opening a bunch, and I'm still not done because I keep noticing. I go, oh, this is really good for this deck. I guess I should probably add it. So I played Jahzzar, Golgari, Lichlord, I think 2 or 3 times this weekend.
Okay.
And so I added Belby to that deck. So Belby says whenever, or at your second main phase, you add 2 colorless mana to your mana pool for each opponent that has taken damage this turn. So in Jahzzar, you can fling a creature and deal damage equal to its power to each opponent. So I actually flung just a 1/1 and then got 6 mana in my second main phase. And I played Belby on 2 and it stayed out the entire game. No one removed Belby.
Well, everyone else gets the benefits of Belby too.
They do. And you know what I noticed is Belby, not only do I get 6 mana if I fling, right? Or just swing, because I was swinging with her at one point because she comes down on 2.
Oh yeah.
It feels a little bit like Edrix by Master of Chest, because instead of swinging at me, my opponents are swinging at each other so that they can get at max 4 colorless mana.
Right.
Or if they deal damage to themselves by tapping like an Ancient Tomb, they also get 6 mana.
Nice.
So I noticed that card is probably I feel like that's going to be a sleeper card in this set.
It's a super good card. I mean, we talked about it a little bit. I mean, a turn 2, or if you have something out on turn 1 that can deal damage to everyone, so a turn 2 or 3 Wormcoil Engine.
Yeah, I did see a turn 2 Wormcoil Engine, because on turn 1 there's a creature that when it attacks each opponent loses 1 life. So you swing at that on 2 and then you play Wormcoil Engine. Or any other generic 6 mana colorless creature. Oh yeah. It's such a good card. So I feel like as a commander, that's going to be, I feel like if I were a betting man, and I'm not. Okay. But if I were, I would put money on that as being one of the more popular cards, but I don't know if it's going to happen right away. I feel like we're going to figure out in a couple of months, Belby is really good. Although there is an episode of the Command Zone that has Belby in it of extra turns. I think is it extra turns?
It is an extra turns.
It's extra turns episode. Yeah. So we might get a little bit of hype earlier now that folks are going to see that. So I got to play that. I played Tibor and Lumia this weekend, and I changed them up a bit. I took out some of the creatures and I added more multicolored spells, and I think I just need more generic good blue-red spells. But I did get to cast an Underworld Breach, which I added, and then I got to cast 3 cards from my graveyard. And then I did the generic cast Gamble, grab card, insert it into graveyard, and I was very upset because I grabbed Mizzix's Mastery with enough mana to overload it, and then you can't overload not from your hand.
How many cards did you have in your hand at the time?
5.
Oh, wow.
It was 5. So I felt safe. It was not safe.
Gamble equals mono red and tomb.
Right. So the other thing that happened, so SpellTable has officially been updated, and you do have to log in with the Wizards account. You may have noticed if you're logging in, if you have not logged in yet, you will have to just make sure that you sign in. There was some confusion this past weekend. Some people weren't able to get into an account. SpellTable did clarify, so you can head over to their Twitter account, and they said you may just not have had an account. And then it says that you've been emailed. You really just need to register, essentially.
Yep.
And then you can submit, and it'll be at the bottom of this episode in the show notes, but you can submit a request to change your name. It does utilize the name that you have for your account, at least for us, the one that we have on Arena. So fortunately for me, my Arena name and my Twitter handle are the exact same thing anyway. But you can't change it, but you can if you go and just submit a change request. So we'll have the link to that in the show notes below. And then I also changed up my Selesnya deck.
Yes.
So it was Tolsimir, friend to wolves.
Friend of wolves.
Friend of wolves. He is an elf. He's probably also friends with elves, but I always confuse his name. I switched it over to a Marisoldi Accord.
You're right.
So I switched that over because Tolsimir was a little underpowered, and I was having a hard time playing with it on stream and not just getting like left in the dust as people were like, I'm going to play this big thing that does a lot. I was like, I play another 3/3 wolf and can't fight because all your stuff is bigger than mine. So I changed that up this weekend, and I'm really excited to take that on its maiden voyage this Thursday on our stream.
Very nice.
Yeah. How about you? Anything new going on in the world of Magic? You got some of your Commander Legends product.
I got all my Commander Legends product, a ton of it. So, stow it away until COVID is over with.
I want to draft so bad.
We have tons of drafts in the future, and I'd like to do a Commander Legends Commander Cube.
Yeah, you're making a cube out of the set.
I'd like to do a Commander Cube. I'm going to throw in some of my other stuff. So some of the stuff that I don't like in the set, and I'm only going to have like one copy. I'm going to do a true Commander set of only one copy of every card. So no two people are going to have a single of the same card unless it's a basic land. So,
and it's only cards from Commander Legends, or are you going to add some other Commander cards to it?
I'm going to add other Commander cards to it. So, I'll be able to throw in like Smothering Tithe into there and some other fun Commander cards. So
some Mystic Studies?
At least one. No, only one.
Only one?
Only one.
Okay, you can do a Ristic Study.
And a Mystic Remora.
Mystic Remora. Consecrate Sphinx?
There would be a Consecrated Sphinx. Sphinx of the Second Sun, obviously, is going to be in there. And
that one's in the set.
Right. There's Sphinx Tribal will be a thing.
Sphinx Tribal, so Unesh.
Yeah.
The cry.
We'll put the mono blue from Hour of Devastation. Yeah.
Yeah, it should just be Commander Legends with Amonkhet block.
Yeah. I actually thought, and I don't know if anyone's done this before, about taking all of the legendary creatures out and doing a point buy system for your commanders at the end of it, where like everyone has 100 points and you have all the legendary creatures up on the board, and then you silently put how many points you want to allocate towards buying this legendary creature or that legendary creature.
So you're drafting everything but the commanders?
Correct. And then you have to buy your commander afterwards.
But that would be very difficult, because what if you build for a specific commander and then you don't get it?
Better spend all 100 points on that commander.
But two people are spending 100 points to build a life gain deck.
Coin flip.
That's awful. And then you don't get a commander?
No, you would get a commander.
No, you don't get one. You can't play.
You can now spend your points on another commander.
That seems terrifying. I want to know what I'm building because I want to know what I'm playing.
Well, you're going to have to spend your points properly in order to do it. That's why I think it'd be fun, because I don't think they have a draft archetype that's like that.
I'm not familiar with those types of the special drafts. I'm familiar with just like drafting standard sets.
It's like a fantasy football thing though, point buy. So I've also been taking my CEDH deck apart to build two more CEDH decks, which is the decks that I plan on playing. So
you've turned 100 into 200?
In a way, yeah.
Oh.
But they're two monocolor decks, so my Rogue Rock and Jessica deck, as well as my Miari and Nadir deck. So mono red and then mono black.
You're playing two monocolor decks this week. That's exciting. That's exciting, yeah.
So I have to pick up a few more singles in the meantime, but other than that, it's
coming together. It's all coming together.
I don't have to spend a lot of money on it, which is pretty nice.
Nice. So what are we talking about this week?
This week we are talking about the Secret Lair Secretversary Superdrop, and our main topic for this week is going to be life gain strategies. So all things life gain, things you can do with life gain, and what it means to play life gain.
So life gain.
I think we're talking about life gain.
All right. Let's get into it. So the Secret Lair Secretversary Superdrop is a mouthful to say.
That is quite a bit.
But that is officially, as of the date that we are recording this show, it is available for pre-order. So it's available for pre-order from November 30th through December 14th. So we have 4 different packages here. The first one is a box of rocks.
It sure is.
It is. So it's some really cool artwork for Arcane Signet, Chromatic Lantern, Commander Sphere, Darksteel Ingot, and Gilded Lotus. Some of these are good cards you can play in Commander. Some of them, I'm not sure why they're on this list, but
beautiful art.
This art is fantastic. I actually do run all of these in at least one deck. Arcane Signet, Commander Sphere, and Chromatic Lantern, like the 3 of those, I run multiple of. I think I've gotten away from Gilded Lotus quite a bit now.
Absolutely. And Darksteel Ingot is very niche. I'll put it in Artifact Matters decks just to have
I have it in my Rona deck.
Just to have an indestructible mana rock out there.
Yeah. So you can buy this one in foil and non-foil. And again, this one is available through December 14th. And then the second one is actually your favorite.
Yeah, so art series Seb McKinnon. So these are all Seb McKinnon featured artwork cards. You get a full art borderless swamp, a Sour of Temptation, an Enchanted Evening, and of course, my favorite board wipe, Damnation, with absolutely beautiful.
Every single one of these artworks.
I mean, some people outside of knowing Seb McKinnon might look at that and go, "You just called that beautiful?"
It's a lot of his stuff is dark.
It's demented.
And some of it's creepy.
It's awesome.
Can we just get like a standard set that's like standard set Seb McKinnon?
Yeah. It's just oh man.
What could we call it? What is Seb McKinnon's plane? Whatever Seb McKinnon is backwards, we just call it the plane.
It's whatever plane Aminatu, I think, is from, because that's like the first time
Actually,
I was
right.
introduced to Seb McKinnon. So
yeah. This one's also available foil and non-foil. The next one here, really interesting. Happy Little Gathering. So this is the Bob Ross set. So these are a set of, and you can get this in foil or non-foil. You are getting basic lands with artwork by Bob Ross. Actually, these were on his actual show. So you can go and you can find that. So they were, and I believe this also comes with an Evolving Wilds as well.
Oh, so instead of getting the Planeswalker, maybe you're going to get an Evolving Wilds in this one.
Yeah, really, really cool. You're getting 10 different, so you're getting 2 of each basic lands, and then, and you know what's funny is the lands from Throne of Eldraine were they were, I think, the most valuable Secret Lair after if you bought them.
The Winter Wonderland ones.
Yeah, the Eldraine Wonderland, and those arts are fantastic. I'm curious to see what the value of these looks like after.
Well, there was the Godzilla arts too, right? In the Secret Lair drop.
And those are really expensive as well.
Right.
I feel like the land ones are expensive. I wish you could get I wish there was one for each basic. So it'd be like you get 10 islands as opposed to 10 where it's 2 of each.
Right.
Because those of us who have I have a draft kit, so I already have my land sleeved up. I mean, for me, I guess I could buy 10 of these and then I would have enough for the draft kit. But I also worry because a lot of these have come out like Pringles, and I'm curious to see if they change the way they print these cards.
True. The next one that we have here is probably the most dramatic art difference, at least in my opinion, and that's Party Hard, Shred Harder. So this was actually originally shown from Lacuna Coil's Twitter profile, which I thought was really cool. I didn't realize that they played Magic, but you have Anguish Unmaking, Assassin's Trophy, Decimate, Dreadbore, and Thraximunder all in brand new full art spectacular artwork that some people are comparing that they're just as hard to read as the Amonkhet Invocations. I don't think that's true.
No, those the Amonkhet Invocations were very hard to read, but this Assassin's Trophy's got to go into my Ravnica Cube.
It looks really cool.
I really like all of these.
Now, do you have Dreadbore in your Ravnica Cube?
I don't run Dreadbore because I have it in a commander deck. Okay. And I remember at one point it was a little expensive. So I don't, but I also don't run Thraximunder, and this would be my first copy of Thraximunder if I were to pick this one up. So I do like that. And then the very last one is we hope you like squirrels. And we do hope you like squirrels.
Why is that?
Because it's got a couple of squirrels in it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So Chatter of the Squirrel, Crowsand Beast with it's a Squirrel Beast, Squirrel Mob, Squirrel Wrangler, and then Swarm Yard. Honestly, Swarm Yard is my favorite here. People didn't realize that was a reprint. Swarm Yard, really good. Regenerate target insect, rat, spider, or squirrel. It's specific to 4 different creature types
that are not very popular.
No, I think of these, spider and rats are the most popular.
Yeah, I would say so for sure. I actually play Chatter of the Squirrel in my Illuna deck. So it just has 2 squirrels like talking to each other, like whispering in each other's ears, which is kind of cute. But I don't know if I'm going to get it just for that one.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the flavor text on Squirrel Mob. I barely escaped with my life, and at that number, they could take on Emrakul herself.
This is hilarious.
So very good. So this one again, so this one is actually available only in foil. So this one is not available in non-foil. So these 5, it was actually 5, I think I did say 4. These 5 different secret layers will be available from now through December 14th. So if you are interested, make sure that you head over to Secret Lair to pick these up. Yeah, so we are talking this week about life gain strategies.
Yeah, just gaining life.
So, it's a mechanic or a strategy that is pretty popular in Commander.
Mm-hmm.
And if done really well, you can stay alive for a lot longer. The problem is if you run out of things to do, which I think I've seen happen in like a Tristani deck. People just run and they're like, I'm playing green white and I'm making a bunch of small tokens. And yes, I am gaining, I don't know, 5 to 10 life a turn.
Right. But what are you doing?
But what do you do
Yeah.
after that? So we've got, some benefits and some downsides. So, the first benefit is it makes you harder to kill.
It turns out having a high life total means that you have to get more life removed in order to die.
Yeah. So you know that if you're playing a life gain deck, you're like, well, sure, it says 40, but I know I'm going to gain probably at least 30 this game. So you're really starting at 70.
Sure.
And if you don't gain too much life too quickly, people don't target you right away.
Not right away. Unless you're playing one particular commander, but
yes, and we'll get into that. The one that is probably one of the most built and one of the most hated.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
So the other thing that trying to close out games, obviously we just talked about. Sometimes you might sit in a position where you don't know what to do, but life gain inherently has cards built around it that are alternate win conditions. So. Cards that say you win the game if you have 50 or more life, or if you have 20 more life than your starting life total. Most of these are upkeep triggers, but there's also some cards now printed in Commander Legends that allow you to destroy, take out. Yeah, take out is probably the best thing to say. One player at a time.
So the target player loses the game instead of just you win.
Right.
You can eliminate the person who's causing the most problems for you.
Yeah, as long as you can get in on them. You do got to swing for that.
You do. And that was actually, I think, my favorite card that we're going to talk about later. One of the newer ones. Life gain strategies also come with life total matters cards that gain some sort of benefit for the amount of life that you have. Not only do we have win cons if you have a lot of life, but cards that are inherently better just because you have X amount of life or more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like Sarah Ascendant or something like that, where if you have more than Sarah Ascendant, a card built for modern, I would say, a 1 mana that says if you have 30 or more life, it becomes a 5/5 flyer instead of just a 1/1 for 1 mana. But in Commander, even if you're not a life gain, that card's really good. Another thing that some people might not think of when they think about life gain decks is using that life as a resource. So pay life cards. So cards like Bolas's Citadel or just Keurig himself.
Greed.
Yeah. Just a ton of stuff where you can, I have 80 life. Let's use 40 of it and draw some cards with my Greed enchantment. Why not?
Yeah. And then, the strategy itself comes with some downsides. So you don't get around commander damage. One of the biggest arguments for commander damage, a lot of people, I've seen so many arguments. I don't know why this is still a thing. No one wins with commander damage. Who's swinging for 21 unless you're playing a Voltron deck? Sometimes your 5/5 just needs to hit 5 times.
Yeah, if that life gain deck isn't doing anything, and you can just keep swinging.
You're at 380 life? Well, it's only 25. When I need it, it's 21, but if I have a 5/5 commander with flying, it's only, I only have to hit you 5 times.
You can't heal commander damage yet. Wizards?
I hope that doesn't change.
I don't know. I think that would be a very unique mechanic.
That would make Voltron, which is already a really difficult strategy, even harder to play.
You don't do it on a legendary creature. You do it in the 99, something that's difficult to tutor up or something. And it would be very specific, only good against Voltron decks.
I guess. That's true. That's true.
But inherently, if you are sitting at a table and you have a quote unquote starting life total of 70 and everyone else has 40, they might all come swinging for you right away.
We've seen you play Fire Song and Sunspeaker, and you're like, I have 250. And we said, cool. None of us are touching each other. We're all literally going to swing every single thing at Coyle for the next 4 turns in a row.
Hopefully I draw something in the next 4 turns because Boros, man, am I right?
And that last time it happened, I don't think you did.
No, I didn't draw anything.
And then another downside, or at least one of the downsides that we think is you do generally need a lot of life gain to capitalize on a life gain strategy. You can't just say, I have a life gain deck. Like Cabal, Council of Allocation. We'll go, there's a couple of commanders we're going to talk about. That's, you incrementally gain 2 life.
Right.
That's great. But you have more than just that 2. You probably need to gain 20 life to really benefit. Because if people are going to target you for having the high side roll and you're playing a bunch of cards that pay into life, you're not going to have a whole lot of life left.
Right.
So you really have to lean into a life gain strategy to really, to reap the benefits. To reap the benefits of a life gain strategy. So Coyle, why don't you take us into the top commanders for life gain strategies?
Yeah, so the top commanders for life gain, according to EDA Track, is what we're using as.
And do we want to do sheer numbers first or the new ones first?
So that's kind of in my notes. I have notes on both. Is to talk about. I think we should start with sheer numbers.
Yeah, let's do sheer number first.
So Aloro, Ageless Ascetic, is absolutely number 1 life gain commander. Life gain on the face, life gain in the deck. So for 6 mana,
life gain out of the deck sitting in the command zone.
It's crazy. So it's got eminence without the eminence keyword.
Yeah, before eminence was eminence.
Right. So for 6 mana, so 3, a white, a blue, and a black, you get a 4/5 giant soldier that you're never going to cast. No, you might cast it, but it's rare. It says at the beginning of your upkeep, you gain 2 life. Whenever you gain life, you may pay 1 generic. If you do, draw a card, and each opponent loses 1 life. And the most important part says at the beginning of your upkeep, if a Aloro, Ageless Ascetic is in your command zone, you gain 2 life. So turn 1, if your first turn, 42 life. You already gained 2. Also, you're going to be target number 1. But I also absolutely love this as the best life gain commander. And I do think it is just because of the colors that it has access to. We talked about already doing pay life cards. This is one of the cases where you get to play black, which has a lot of the pay life spells. But you also get the extra added protection of blue. Blue doesn't bring a whole lot of life gain strategies to your deck, but it just helps you protect the life gain permanents you might have. Maybe your alternate win conditions like Felidar Sovereign or something that you can protect with blue, counter spells, bounce stuff, whatever you got to do.
Yeah. Another that, one of my faves, it's in this top grouping is Karlov of the Ghost Council. So Karlov is a 2/2. Whenever you gain life, put 2+1/+1 counters on Karlov of the Ghost Council. Pay a white and a black, remove 6 +1/+1 counters from Karlov to exile target creature. So comes down onto, and in this one, you don't want to just gain a ton of life at once. You want to gain a bunch of life individually. Things like Soul Warden, really great in this deck. I'm going to gain 1 life 6 times. That's going to get you, you don't want to gain 6 life at once.
Right.
You need the individual gain life triggers. So Karlov, really good. A lot of these life gain strategies you're going to see are in the Orzhov variety. They have white and black in most cases, or only white and black. Another one here, which is interesting that it made this list, is Edgar Markov.
Absolutely.
Being in Mardu. I played this deck. Maybe I just did it wrong. I mean, to be fair, it was a pretty standard build. I didn't do anything. I despised playing Edgar Markov, and I didn't think it was a life gain deck at all.
No, I think so. The way that EDA Track, if you ever listen to the EDA Track podcast, highly recommend. Super good podcasts, and don't listen to our podcast as well. Don't just listen to them instead. But they talked about how some of the filtering and stuff happens on their website. And in order for a deck to be considered part of a single theme or something, it just has to have X amount of cards in the deck. I think it's like it has to be 30 cards that fit the theme for the deck. So Edgar Markov is all about vampires. Vampires have lifelink. Yeah. Lifelink makes it a life gain deck. But it is interesting to see, like, you can put some of those alternate win conditions in there, or a card like Heliod Sun Crown, where your lifelink creatures are just going to be better and better and better because they're going to keep putting +1/+1 counters, which Edgar also loves +1/+1 counters with its own ability. So that's, some good, I guess, life gain synergies.
It's like aggro life gain.
Yeah. Which is crazy.
Yeah. Not one you normally think to see, but Edgar Markov, super popular commander and actually has eminence.
That's right. And then the other most popular life gain card, again feeds right into the pay life, and that's Kurik, son of Yawgmoth.
Mm-hmm.
So you get the 7 mana, 4 and 3 Phyrexian black for a horror minion 2/2 that has lifelink. It also has for each black and a mana cost, you can pay 2 life rather than pay that mana cost. So treat it as a Phyrexian. Whenever you cast a black spell, you get a +1/+1 counter on Kurik. Most of the time, these Kurik decks are built around combos like a Sanguine Blood plus Exquisite Blood combo, which kind of just goes off, which is actually interesting. You know, we didn't mention with the Edgar Markov, with the printing of Vito, Thorn of the Dusk Rose, you also get a couple combos like that. Vito being a vampire, you can kind of just throw that and a couple combo pieces in there.
Well, Vito is Sanguine Bond on itself. So, you know, we haven't gotten to the less popular ones, but Vito I have.
Right.
And that is my life gain deck. And it's really just Sanguine Bond and Exquisite Blood. And it's really consistent, which is one of the reasons why I don't play it too often.
Right.
But that is one of the newer commanders. Now, from M21, Vito says whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. So if you play that and then you play Exquisite Blood, whenever an opponent loses life, you gain that much life. It just turns the game off, right? Because you just won the game. When a commander is part of a 2-card combo, I think it's very popular initially, and then it might fall out of favor. You know, Vito right now, there's only, you know, I think if I'm reading this correctly, 264 Vito decks listed as on EDH Trek.
Yes.
Which is extremely low for what it does. But you know, there's a lot of opinions on the Exquisite Blood and Sanguine Bond combo. A lot of people don't like playing against it, specifically because it's a 2-card combo.
Right.
And one of them is in your command zone.
Yeah. And you can say the same thing about Heliod Suncrowned if you build it this way. And Heliod Suncrowned, also a relatively new commander that we saw, is a 3 mana indestructible enchantment god for 5 and a 5/5 that isn't a creature unless your devotion is 5 or more in white, but says whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature or enchantment you control, and you can pay 1 in a white, and another target creature gains lifelink until end of turn. So this combos with both Triskelion and Walking Ballista. You give that creature lifelink, you remove a counter to deal damage. That damage is lifelinked. Heliod triggers, you put another +1/+1 counter back on that creature, and it kind of loops infinitely. And
so for the 2 of those decks, Vito and Heliod, which I have built just to try them out, and they do their thing. It's a life gain strategy, but it has an end game there in your little combo, as opposed to just playing decks that gain life and play value cards, right?
Right.
So one of those is a deck that I actually just recently built, is Liza, Shroud of Dusk. So is it Liza? We're going to call it Liza.
I like Liza.
I like Liza. So we'll call her Liza. Liza, Shroud of Dusk. 2 white, and a black for a 5/5 flying lifelink angel. And it says rather than pay 2 colorless for each previous time you cast Liza from the command zone, you can pay 2 life that many times. And it says whenever a player casts a spell, they lose 2 life. So this is a really strong card. It really ups the clock in a commander game. We just recently played this on stream last week. You can go check that out on our YouTube channel. But Liza had to be removed for one of the players to try to go off with their deck because they needed to cast a bunch of spells in a single turn, and they would have died had Liza actually been out. Which is very reminiscent of Cabal Council of Allocation. When an opponent casts a non-creature spell, they lose 2 life and you gain 2 life. So although that one is they lose life and you gain life, Liza is just they lose life, but it has flying and lifelink.
Right. So and Liza also is a global enchantment. So it's whenever a player casts a spell, they lose 2 life. So even if you're the Liza player, you lose it. Where Cabal, it's only opponents.
Right.
So
benefits to both.
I do think it's going to be interesting as similar as I see these 2 cards on their face value. I think the 99 behind the 2 cards is so much different, only because Cabal you don't technically need to build as a life gain strategy.
Right.
It can just be a tax piece in your command zone. But Liza, you're also taking that damage. So you need, and Liza does have lifelink herself, but you should probably build a little bit more into it as well.
Well, when you make her a 13 or a 12/12 with flying vigilance totem armor, you don't care about the rest of it because they're going to have a hard time getting rid of Liza.
It's going to be difficult. So, you know, some of the other new commanders that we saw from Commander Legends, we have our first unicorn legendary, or no, our second unicorn legendary actually. because there was another one.
Emil in Jumpstart.
Right. So this one, Lathleal, the Bounteous Dawn, is a 2/2 unicorn with lifelink for 4 mana, so 2 green and a white. It says at the beginning of each end step, if you gained life this turn, distribute up to that many +1/+1 counters among any number of other target creatures. So this is kind of an interesting strategy that we haven't really seen with life gain, and this is going to be swing to win. So it's just added benefit of, oh, I gained 20 life. I'm also putting 20 +1/+1 counters on everything. So we're going to, maybe we're going to do a token strategy. Maybe this is just into the 99 when it comes to like a Trostani deck, which I've always considered to be a life gain strategy deck. But according to the EDH Rec formula, if you don't put 30 life gain cards in or life matters cards into the deck, it's not considered a life gain strategy. So I guess that's another thing, is if your commander is the sole thing that's making you gain life, it might not be considered a life gain strategy according to EDH Rec.
Right. A couple of the commanders obviously remaining on this list here. We have Kraven Regna, Alicia, Sanguine Tribute, Eiley, Eternal Pilgrim, Obsidian Ghost Council, Teysa Karlov. It really just depends on how you build the deck.
For sure.
All of these decks I haven't played against Lathleal, the Bounteous Dawn yet.
Mm-mm.
And I've played Liza myself, so I've seen that.
Right.
But I've played against Aura, Skyclave, Hierophant. I've played against every single one of these decks.
Mm-hmm.
And all of them are really good.
Yeah.
You just build some incremental life gain, some value cards. You're likely drawing some stuff because you're playing black. So you've got that to negate the downside of white not being able to draw cards. And
when you also get all the removal from white. I mean, there's been a lot of talk that white maybe is the weakest color by itself, but almost the strongest color to add to any other color.
You want to splash something to have removal? Add some white.
Yeah, for sure.
You want to pat the exile? Just add some white.
How about a swords to plow? So swords to golf clubs?
Swords to golf clubs.
Yeah.
That guy screamed four, or is that 5 people at like a driving range?
All like really close together.
But they're good at golfing, so they don't hit each other.
Oh, actually, that would be pretty impressive. They'd have like a road show going on and everything.
Yes,
That'd be cool.
Like they all are really good. Hole in one. No,
Just
you know where they're
time.
at? They're actually what's the golf place outside? It's like you shoot into like targets.
Disc golf?
No, you're playing actual golf.
Oh, you're playing actual golf.
It's a national chain. It's like a place where you go to golf. Oh my gosh, what's it called?
You went there.
I've been there twice.
I've never been there before.
Oh shoot, I can't think of it now.
I don't remember what it's called.
They're putting one in downtown. I can't remember. Anyway, that's what Swords to Plowshares looks like they're playing. But if you also want to add white, you can add, just a casual Smothering Tithe. For some reason, when I play Smothering Tithe, it gets removed. But then when I play against other people and they play Smothering Tithe, it doesn't get removed. Yeah. I don't know how that works out.
I mean, I think you're just a little bit jaded because there's a lot of times that your Smothering Tithe doesn't get removed. Literally
gets removed before 2 turns go by, and I was like, what?
Sometimes
the crap?
I mean, that's what needs to happen. But then you get 35 treasures, and then
that did happen once because you wheeled when I played it, and then I felt really good and won.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but even if you have it and you have 35 treasures, everyone around the table then goes, oh yeah, we're not paying for this anymore. What's 35 treasures compared to 38 treasures?
It doesn't matter anymore at that point. Nope, does not matter. So white does add a lot, right? Mm-hmm. So we've got some, do we want to take a look at some win cons here, right?
Love win cons.
So let's talk about the number one on our list. The number one. The number 1.1 Aetherflux Reservoir. This card's
so much.
Really, really strong. So do you want to go ahead and read off Aetherflux Reservoir for us?
As soon as I look it up, I swear. I just don't know how to spell the word reservoir. So Aetherflux Reservoir is a 4-mana artifact. It says whenever you cast a spell, you gain 1 life for each spell you've cast this turn. So basically Storm, but instead of getting copies of a spell, you just Storm, gain that much life. And then the second portion, the win condition portion of this card is pay 50 life. Aetherflux Reservoir deals 50 damage to any target. And I absolutely love this card. I was surprised when they did the Paradox Engine ban that they didn't ban Aetherflux Reservoir, because typically, Aetherflux Reservoir is a win condition in a lot of decks because it's colorless. You don't need colors to use it. in order to play it. You can play it in literally anything. I played in a lot of mono black decks just because it goes infinite with Bolas's Citadel and Sensei's Divining Top. But it's just generic so that you can play it anywhere, and it does damage, and it does say damage to any target. So if there is someone with a Platinum Angel out there, something that says their life total can't change, you can nuke the Platinum Angel before you nuke their face with the Save the Flux Reservoir. If you have a way of gaining, maybe you don't even need to gain infinite amounts of life or near infinite amounts of life. You can just have 500 life or 250 life or something. Get rid of the table.
You could have two. You could have. Oh, what happened one time was we had a buddy who had 51 life and took you out, and then went down to 1,
and then lost,
just to take you out.
And then he lost. It's called a losing strategy.
Another card, another win con here. One that I see far less often than I do the others, and maybe it's just because it's pretty old now, or because you have to wait until your upkeep. But it's Test of Endurance. Mm-hmm. So an enchantment from Judgment, 2 white at the beginning of your upkeep. If you have 50 or more life, you win. You just win the game.
You just win.
Yeah, it's solid card, but see, you have to have 10 more life than you started with, which means you also are probably going to need to have 30 more life than you started with, because you have to pass and your opponents need to get through to you.
Yeah. It would be cool if it was like flash speed or something.
Or at end of turn, at the end of your turn, if you have 50 life, you win.
Yeah.
We're seeing cards like, Mirrored and Besieged, right? That mm-hmm. card it's not life gain, but feels like a card where it says if you have X number of artifacts in your graveyard, at the end of your turn, you win.
It's actually target player loses the game.
Oh, that one's target player loses.
On Mirrored and Besieged.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I would love to have one of those
mm-hmm.
in an enchantment for life gain. If you have, 20 or more life than your starting total at the end of your turn, target player loses the game.
Would
that be played? I think that'd be played.
It's very similar. We do have a card that just got printed that does a very similar thing.
That one's 15.
That's right. 15 more life.
Yeah.
total.
So Angel of Destiny. Mm-hmm. Angel of Destiny is a 2/6 flying double strike Angel Cleric for 3 and white that says when a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you and that player gain that much life.
Yeah, they gain it too.
What's the downside? It's group hug life gain.
So what else does that card do?
Well, then it says at the beginning of your end step, if you have at least 15 life more than your starting life total, each player Angel of Destiny attacked this turn loses the game.
Oh.
So if you get multiple combats with like Aurelia and you swing once at Coyle, because you got to swing at Coyle.
You don't have to swing at me. Don't swing at me.
For best results, take out Coyle first. And then you swing.
Apply directly to the forehead.
Yeah. and then you also swing at someone else. And you've got, 55 life?
Mm-hmm.
They both just lose.
Yeah. I actually kind of like the whole like Helm of the Host kind of thing. Because in Commander, you can't play more than one copy of it.
Right.
But you can copy it. It's not a legendary creature.
It's not.
And then you can start swinging at everyone. But it does have to survive to the end of the turn.
Yes.
It's an end of turn trigger. So if someone removes it before the end of the turn, it's like, I go to end my second main phase, because you have to do that before you end your turn, by the way. You say, swords to golf clubs.
Swords to golf clubs. Did we figure out what that company was? When you talk about the next card, I am going to figure out what
Golf.
It's Top Golf.
Yeah, I looked it up.
It's Top Golf, people. Top Golf is fun. I took golf in college.
Oh, I didn't.
That was my sport. That was my health and wellness credit that I needed one.
Oh, okay.
So you showed up. I don't know if I've told the story. I might have. But you showed up, and once you hit your bucket of balls, you can go home.
That's pretty nice.
So you go to a driving range, and they teach you some form, and then you drive, and you go home.
And then you drive home.
And then you drive home.
So did you get graded based on your like performance at the beginning versus your performance at the end?
Nope.
You just got to shoot a bucket of golf balls.
Yep.
Interesting.
But I paid for a class instead of paying for the golf balls. But honestly, I don't know how much different the price was.
That class was more money.
Well, it was at my community college, so it was a very non-expensive course. It might have been $300, but it was 15 weeks, and we went to the golf course 13 times. So I don't know. I honestly don't know how much it costs.
It's probably kind of a wash, actually.
Honestly.
Yeah.
It was fun. And now I know how to golf. A little.
You know how to hit a ball off a
tee.
Yeah.
I can hit it off of a tee, and I don't look like a fool. It doesn't go very far. Sometimes I slice it right into the pond 4 times in a row, and then I move on to the next hole while everybody else finishes that, because I cannot hit it to the end. I just can't.
To the green?
Yeah.
Get it to the
we
green.
go to the sand. Usually.
You go hang out on the beach.
We do, or just into the water and then you just lost a golf ball.
You ever I used to be sick of round. I used to play golf with my dad when I was a kid. And whenever I was sick of a round, I'd be like, just hit it into the water. I know I could get it on the green, but it's like, I'm just going to hit it into the water. I'm like, oh, well, here's another ball. Hit that one in the water. Not having such a great round. I think I'm done.
Oh, no. Life gain strategies.
Yes.
Life gain strategies. No. The next one, very similar to Test of Endurance.
Yes. Felidar Sovereign.
Felidar Sovereign.
So you have a 6 CMC 4/6 cat B. So for 4 white. It has vigilance and lifelink. And it says at the beginning of your upkeep, if you have 40 or more life, you win the game. So I guess this particular creature has the added benefit of having lifelink itself, but has the major downside of being a creature. Turns out there's a lot of creature removal, a lot more creature removal than there is enchantment removal in comparison to Test of Endurance. So it is relatively the same win condition, but it's a lot more fragile. Again, if you have ways of flashing it out so that you can cast it, on the opponent's turn right before yours, and so no one has a chance to respond to it. More power to you, but this is going to be a fragile win condition.
And I think that's why we see it far less often than I know we already mentioned it, but Exquisite Blood and Sanguine Bond. So both enchantments, Exquisite Blood saying whenever an opponent loses life, you gain that much. And then Sanguine Bond being the inverse whenever an opponent gains life, or it's being the inverse. Whenever an opponent loses, and then there's the when you gain, the opponent loses. So it's the opposite. So we see that one far more often because it's 2 pieces and on an enchantment. It can be used in a black deck as well as the white-black or the Esper deck if you're playing with the Loro. Right. You can just jam all of these if you really want. Yeah. I'm a huge proponent of making sure you have like 3 win cons.
Yes, 3 win cons.
A combo and then like 2 win cons. I inherently put a combo in every deck. I just do it and I find I can't not, okay? I just can't not. I've tried and I can't not. They're just too fun to do. But then you ultimately take them out.
Right. I know when we were looking at win conditions, I had also mentioned, just kind of as a joke, Tree of Redemption in an Arcades deck. It's like, life gain strategies, right? I'm going to gain 100 life, and then Tree of Redemption is going to get 100 toughness, and then I'm going to swing that 100 toughness at someone's face with my Arcades. It's kind of like a life gain strategy win deck. Maybe you're not doing Arcades as a life gain strategy, but for this one card in the 99, who knows?
Right. So favorite life gain cards. So I've got two. I'm going to go with the first one.
Okay.
The one that doesn't really require me to do a whole lot of work. And it comes down on 1. It's solid. It's really good. It's Authority of the Consuls. So it's an enchantment for 1 white that says creatures your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped. And whenever a creature enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, you gain 1 life.
So good.
This card is not played nearly enough in our meta and with the people that we play with on stream. When I played at Command Fest, when I played in person, I feel like I'm one of the only people that play this card. If I had to say the number of people playing this card was only based on the people I interact with, I would say no one's playing this card.
Yeah, it's very little. If you think about some of the decks that we have with the token strategies and stuff, this card is just going to make you get 100 life so quickly. And it just slows all the hasty stuff down. I know sometimes we like to get people out of nowhere with the haste.
Based on EDH rec, it's in 7% of the decks it can be in. It says that it's in 13,000 decks. So, there's lots of people playing this card. Yeah. So I'm not saying no one plays this card, but I feel like in at least our group, I play this card very often. I think I might have this card in like 3 or 4 decks.
I think people might see this card as a pillow fort strategy card or something, or a tax card, but just playing a 1 mana enchantment
that gains me 15 life over the course of the game,
and someone has to use a 3 mana removal spell to take my 1 mana enchantment out, go for it.
Would you play, now let's say this was pay 1 white, gain 15. Would you play that? I feel like I would. This obviously has the opponent's creatures given tap, so that's
which
relevant.
Is even better.
Yeah. But I feel like if there was, pay 1 white, you gain 15 life, I would still play that card.
Yeah, I mean, I guess depending on the
It
deck.
needs to be a life gain deck. Obviously, I'm not just going to play it in some... I mean, maybe I would play it in a Boros deck. I just need 15 more life.
I'll throw it in my Fire Sign Sunspeaker deck all day.
Well, of course you would.
But that does ruin a lot of meta, though. Like, if that ever became modern legal or something, I mean, ridiculous. But
Oketra's Last Mercy shuts down burn. It's the one thing that you can win against with Oketra's Last Mercy.
that's right.
Burn decks aren't going to beat you.
You can play Life Goes On though and do the exact same thing. If you're in green, you got to be in green.
But I'm in white.
Fair.
I'm in mono white here.
Mono white modern boggles.
I'm in something.
Fair enough.
All right, give me one of your top cards.
Okay, so actually, this is maybe not my top card, but it's a fun card. Again, I'm kind of leaning a little bit on the EDH Retcast because they had one of these cards on the challenge, the stats. Never heard of it. It's a mono black card, and I thought it was really cool. And it's called Simulacrum, not Solemn, just Simulacrum.
Okay.
And it's a 1 and a black, and it's an instant. And on the card face, it says, all damage done to you so far this turn is instead retroactively applied to a target creature you control. Further damage this turn is treated normally. But, so you say that's not a life gain card, but that's not actually what the card does anymore. So the actual oracle text for the card says you gain life equal to the damage dealt to you this turn. Simulacrum deals damage to target creature you control equal to the damage dealt to you this turn. So it's a good way of, someone swings everything out at you because you have so much life, but they're like, oh, but I'm not going to kill you. I'm just going to bring you down to a good life total or something. And then, you go down to 10, you get all the health back up. If you have anything like, boon, the white boon of, is not
boon of reflection.
Is it boon of reflection?
It's the white one that shuffles back in, right?
I'm thinking the enchantment that says whenever you would gain life, you gain twice that much life instead.
Yeah, boon reflection.
Yeah.
If you gain life, you gain twice that much life instead. Yeah, boon reflection.
Yep. So if you have something like that and you play Simulacrum, you take 20, you gain 40 back up. So if you didn't know that Simulacrum is a life gain card and it's in black, which we talked about, black, white being this probably the most common 2 colors in life gain strategies, you might want to consider throwing a Simulacrum in your deck. Okay.
My next favorite, and this one actually is my favorite. It's a mechanic we did not get, which I was really hoping we were going to get in Commander Legends.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really sad we didn't, but holding out hope that we'll get one down the road. It's a really good Commander mechanic. It's Extort. So you may have guessed that I'm talking about Blind Obedience.
Oh, what's up with you and your tapped creatures?
It's fine.
Okay.
It's fine. Okay. It's an enchantment for 1 and a white. So this one, can't come down on turn 1 easily. I mean, it can. But if you're playing not a bunch of ramp spells in your white deck, this enchantment has Extort, and artifacts and creatures your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped. So if you never played with Extort, you should.
Yeah.
Really fun. So Extort says whenever you cast a spell, you can pay white or black. If you do, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain that much life. So if you Extort for 1, each opponent's gonna lose 1. You're gonna gain 3.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't just gain 1, you gain that much. And Extort, the actual color is inside of reminder text for this actual mechanic. So you can throw Blind Obedience into a deck that has red or has blue,
mm-hmm.
or has, you can throw this and into any color, and it doesn't just have to be in a white black deck.
Right. And what I love about it is if you're playing Keurig in the 99 with a Blind Obedience or any other card with Extort, then you can also pay a Phyrexian black instead. So you pay 2 life to activate Extort and then end up gaining 3 life as long as you still have 3 opponents.
Yeah.
So super, super good strategies.
Blind
there.
Obedience. I still holding out for that Extort commander, but we got...
Just play a life gain commander.
Just play a life gain commander and I can still, yeah. So I think Blind Obedience is probably the tippy top card for me.
Okay, so my tippy top card, if you will. Now, if you've ever played against any of my mono black decks, you would know that they have life gain strategies, and you're thinking, oh, Coyle's either about to talk about Grey Merchant of Asphodel, or he's talking
We
about...
didn't yet.
Maybe he's talking about Bantu's Monument, because for some reason Bantu's Monument just went off last time I played Shirei. It gained me like literally 30 life. It was crazy. But no. It's got to be a mono black X spell called Exsanguinate. So Exsanguinate is X black sorcery. It says each opponent loses X life. You gain life equal to the life lost this way. Very simple, very elegant, very win condition.
Yep.
Very, even if it's not a win condition, I am just going to get a life total that makes me very difficult to kill.
Yeah.
X equals 10, gain 30 life. Everyone else just goes down a notch. Now I'm at 70. Everyone else is at 30. Love this card. Absolutely love this card. I usually build my mono black decks around either Exsanguinate and or Torment of Hailfire as win conditions. Exsanguinate is really good compared to Torment of Hailfire in, the early and mid game, where Torment of Hailfire maybe is a more consistent way to close the game out.
So if you had to build a life gain deck right now, is it going to be a Loro? Is that who you would build?
I already had an Aloro deck, but it was artifacts. If I said who is the best life gain commander,
I don't know if there is a best.
If you were asking my opinion,
okay,
I would say Aloro.
You would say Aloro, even though you're going to get targeted first every game you play.
I mean, that's why you're getting targeted first every game you play, I feel like, because it's just such a good strategy to gain 2 life every turn without having to pay a single mana to do so. Just gain 2 life, gain 2 life, gain 2 life, gain 2 life. If the game lasts 10 turns, you could play 0 lands and still have gained 20 life. And I think that's what inherently just makes Aloro the best life gain commander. I don't think I would build it just because it's been overdone. Again, I've built it before. I don't know if Keurig is really who I would do. I haven't seen a lot of Mangara the Diplomat decks.
Yeah.
And there's a couple life gain strategies that you can do with that. I mean, Mangara has lifelink, on the body. So maybe that's what I would do. I see this Timna the Weaver and Ikra Shadiki the Usurper. Mm-hmm. So maybe a Toughness Matters lifelink in 3-color and black white green. Maybe that would be fun. I don't personally particularly like life gain strategies.
Yeah. I don't know if it's my favorite, but I do think that I would play one of the more value ones like Liza or Kambal.
Right.
Where you've got cards like Greed, the value cards that you can pay life. Necropotence, really good. You can pay life, put cards into your hand because you've gained incremental life throughout the entire game.
Now, I do play Firesong and Sunspeaker, which isn't...
But that's both. It's life gain and burn.
It's you gain life by burning people. That's how a majority of them are built, which is why they don't show up on this life gain page on EDHREC. But I built mine as budget, so I also threw in a bunch of... every single removal spell, whether it's instant or sorcery, says remove target enchantment, destroy exile target enchantment or artifact. You gain life equal to the converted mana cost or something like that. So I built it a little bit that way. So it heavies more on some gain life strategies. But again, a majority of them are built on burn gains me life. I'm just going to build this burn.
Right. Well, if you in listener land play a life gain strategy, tweet at us or send us an email. Tell us what you play and what cards you value in your life gain decks. We are always interested and we love looking at deck lists. And before we go, we do have an announcement. We will be streaming this Saturday with Moderately Anonymous MTG on his Twitch channel over at twitch.tv/Moderately Anonymous MTG. And we're going to be playing with Stacked EDH as well. We are playing CEDH.
Yes.
So we were invited to a CEDH stream. So I was on with Mental Misplay a couple of, it was probably last month now. And I played some CEDH. It was a lot of fun. I am playing Malcolm and Vile Smasher for this. So I am playing Pirate with his little goblin friend and hopefully going to make some infinite combos happen with my Glinthorn Buccaneer. Coyle, what are you playing?
I'm going to be playing the 2 mono color commanders that I referred to at the beginning of the episode. I'm going to play
Rograk, the mono red Rograk, the 0-cost kobold.
Plus Jessica.
Yes.
Which focuses on casting Rograk as many times as possible, and then Jessica comes out with 1 million loyalty counters and then burns the board.
Okay.
And then I will also be playing my mono black Elves deck, which is the combination of Miara, Thorn of the Glade, and Nadir, Agent of the Dust Knell, which focuses on Nadir and Nim Death Mantle artifact in order to loop him infinite number of times from the graveyard and make infinite elf tokens, and then probably kill everyone with the Torment of Hailfire for X equals 1,000,000.
Nice. Well, I believe Stacked EDH is going to be playing, and I believe he's referring to it as Siskel and Ebert, which is Sakashima of 1,000 Faces and Croc the Thumbless to put 1,000,000 coin flips just on the stack and take people out. And then I know Moderately Anonymous was working on an Obeka list, but they may be playing Dargo Ikra Shadiqui. It is a Protean Hulk list. So seems really interesting. So
Awesome.
If you are free on Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern time, make sure to head over there. And then we again stream every Thursday. So you can find us at our Twitch channel at Twitch, or on my channel, twitch.tv/ATFlory. So we want to thank you all for listening this week. If you want to contact us, you can find our podcast online at theguardianprojectpodcast.com. You can find our social media on Twitter at GuardianPod and our gameplay videos at youtube.com/theguardianproject. You can find me on Twitter at ATFlory.
You can find me on Twitter at WormCoilEngine. And we want to give a special thanks to Ryan Nichols, our producer and editor, when we mess up, and and to Chris Wolf, who creates all of our thumbnails and overlays for our videos and streams. And thanks.
We'll see you all next week.
Bye-bye.
I was going to say see ya, but I already said that, so.
See you again. See you twice. See you 3 times.
Sphinx of the Second Sun, see ya at your second upkeep.
Oh, do I have an upkeep trigger? Second upkeep? Hey.
Not till next week.
We didn't even talk about Sphinx of the Second Sun, like Felidar Sovereign and stuff, because you get your second upkeep on your turn.
You do it.
Holy crap. Hope you're still listening.
What was the win con for that?
The win con for Felidar Sovereign?
Oh, I guess if you gained life at your upkeep and then one on the second upkeep?
I mean, if you have the life total and you cast Felidar Sovereign main phase 1 and you have a second upkeep, because your second upkeep happens after combat.
Oh. Well, I guess that's a thing.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah.